Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's a very, very busy day. I was on a panel discussion today for African American History Month, virtual panel discussion organized by Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Lambda Rho Zeta chapter, Pontiac chapter. So shout out to the sisters of Zeta Phi Beta. They did a great job, and the co-organizers, the co-hosts of the event, Marnice Jackson and Sister Kamara Mayberry. They did an excellent job, so thanks for having me on the panel. We share that broadcast on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, so you can check it out there. All right, so on today's show, we know that George Floyd's name is back in the news. We see that civil rights leaders are demanding the George Floyd Police and Justice Act be passed. News1.com has a couple of good articles dealing with this. Civil rights leaders unite to demand Congress pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Civil rights and social justice leaders say Congress must pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to hold law enforcement accountable for deadly and excessive force that far too often involves the lives of African Americans. And then we see the DOJ, the Department of Justice, renews investigation into George Floyd's murder months after stalling under the Trump administration. Okay, so we're going to talk about this as well. Then there was a story out of Houston, Texas. We know what's going on in Texas and the deep freeze taking place, the catastrophe that's hitting Texas, but also Texans are being hit with extraordinary energy bills. Okay, and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner is calling on Texas to pay for skyrocketing energy bills following the winter storm. Sylvester Turner urged state officials to cover the burden after winter storms wreaked havoc across the state. And we know that this is disproportionately negatively impacting African Americans as well. And then yesterday was Dr. W.B. DuBois' birthday. So we didn't get a chance to talk about that here on the show. We had so much to cover. So we'll talk a little bit about Dr. W.B. DuBois. He was a co-founder of the NAACP. He was a historian. He was a Pan-Africanist. He was an author, editor of the Crisis magazine. But we'll talk about the NAACP sending a document to the United Nations called An Appeal to the World, in which the NAACP asked the United Nations to redress human rights violations in the United States committed against African American citizens. And this was in 1947. Okay, so we'll talk some about that as well. All right, we'll give you an update on what's going on with Tiger Woods also. Right now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in politics and history, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, love, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Or visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, to sign up for our email newsletter also at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you like this type of information, also you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show, paypal.me /the AHN Show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We had a great class last night. The online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Our guest speaker in the class was Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. So people in class learned a lot. You can still register for the online course. No, it's not too late to register for the online course. Okay. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Okay. So as soon as you register, you'll be able to watch last night's class. We do the classes live on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then all the sessions are recorded, so you can go back and watch them over and over again. You can watch them around the world. The class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. So, and there's bonus content that you can watch as well. Okay. So you can register for that. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com is right on the homepage. Or we're going to post a link here. You can register here also. Okay. All right. And then last week, our guest speaker was cultural anthropologist Sister Nubia Wardford, who dealt with the origins of ancient Kush and the African queens of antiquity. So we deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. When we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, we can't start talking about it in the 15th century. We can't start talking about it in 1619. We have to deal with the history leading up to the transatlantic slave trade and deal with ancient Africa, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, the Nile Valley region of Africa. We have to deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who were taking the teachings from ancient Africa and the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe. And these teachings are going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. And we're going to see what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. And we're going to see the wars and the conflicts between the African Moors and Europeans. And we still see symbols of those existing today. A couple of days ago, we talked about the story of the business school in the United Kingdom that was going to remove the coat of arms with the African Moors heads, the Black Moors heads on them, because these Moors were enslaved, and they have a coat of arms there. So you'll see this throughout Europe. You'll see the legacy of the African Moors throughout Europe in various ways. All right, we're coming up on a break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We'll be back in a few minutes.
For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum movement in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges, universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traversed Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid El Hakim is the founder of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, and he is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. For more information, please contact Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197, or visit their website at blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. That's blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. You can also email him at bhistory101@yahoo.com, bhistory101@yahoo.com.
Are you getting ready for fall or winter? We have the solution for all seasonal clothing needs. Comedicwear.com is the go-to online source for Comedic African fashion and lifestyle products with a contemporary twist. We're committed to offering unique styles reflecting our African heritage. Comedicwear.com is inspired by ComedicScribes.com to influence our people in learning and showing pride. Please visit our website at Comedicwear.com.
Hi, I'm Joel Wilson, President and CEO of JCW Computer Consulting LLC, a technology implementation firm with over 20 years of satisfying customers. We offer a full spectrum of industry top-tier branded services. We are an authorized partner or reseller for Lenovo, Zoom, T-Mobile, Microsoft 365 and Surface tablets, Google Workspace, Acer, Asus, Samsung, PCmatic security software, and many more. Our online store features laptops, Chromebooks, computers, printers, accessories, and software. Businesses, take advantage of our free 1-hour Zoom tech consultation and know we offer top nationwide high-speed internet service providers, voice over IP, and cellular phone services. Home users, don't miss our current in-stock Chromebook inventory. Please visit us at jcwcc.com or call 215-879-6701.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, more than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Wednesday, February 24th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, I want to go to the story, new developments dealing with the George Floyd Police and Justice Act, and also the George Floyd case as well. So newsone.com has an article. They picked it up from the New York Times. DOJ renews investigation into George Floyd's murder months after stalling under Trump administration. Prosecutors recently impaneled a grand jury and interviewed fresh witnesses in the ongoing investigation into Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis officer who kneeled on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes. So we'll turn on the screen share. Check out this article here from newsone.com as we continue to try to get justice for George Floyd. Let's see here. Okay, so new developments are ramping up in the George Floyd murder. According to the New York Times, Department of Justice prosecutors recently impaneled a grand jury and interviewed fresh witnesses in the ongoing investigation into Derek Chauvin, former police officer Derek Chauvin. The findings come days before a state trial for former officer Derek Chauvin is slated to begin on March 8th, 2021, and months after the Department of Justice-led investigation stalled under the Trump administration. Now, the burden of proof lies on whether prosecutors can prove that the defendant willingly used unreasonable force in turn violating someone's constitutional rights, or basically their civil rights. It's dealing with willful intent. It's dealing with willful intent. When you deal with federal charges, you're dealing with federal civil rights charges, violations of that. You have to prove that the person willfully intended to deprive someone of their civil rights. The burden of proof is not that they actually did deprive someone of their federal civil rights. You have to prove that they willfully intended to deprive them of their civil rights, which is a high bar to reach. Now, I think this is probably an easier case to prove it than others, but it is a high bar to reach. Now, former Attorney General William Barr, who should be investigated, stated he preferred to wait for the state's findings before moving when asked why the investigation was in limbo. Earlier this month, the New York Times revealed that former Attorney General William Barr rejected a plea deal from former officer Derek Chauvin, which warranted at least 10 years in jail. Now, and we talked about that here on this show and also on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we discussed it as well. Now, if Derek Chauvin is acquitted in state court, the focus would then likely shift to the federal proceedings, which could include civil rights violations. However, federal civil rights prosecutions have become increasingly disappointing, especially for African Americans who rarely see justice served in the ongoing incidents of police-involved killings. The Justice Department has investigated and failed to charge police officers involved in several high-profile killings in the African-American community, including Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, and Michael Brown. Now, George Floyd's death spurred a renewed and re-energized civil rights movement, said Benjamin Crump, George Floyd's family's lawyer, in a statement. He said it's appropriate and gratifying that the Department of Justice under President Biden is taking racial justice seriously. Now, this particular investigation will turn a watchful eye towards the Biden administration and Attorney General nominee Merrick Garland. And they just had, it was Monday that they had the Senate hearing for Merrick Garland. If Judge Garland is confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Now, President Joe Biden and his administration have voiced support in reshaping the criminal justice system, but the upcoming investigation will either strengthen or distance supporters of George Floyd, who is still triggered by his harrowing death captured on camera. Department of Justice investigations into the killing of Breonna Taylor and Jacob Blake the shooting of Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake wasn't killed, but the killing of Breonna Taylor and the shooting of Jacob Blake are slated to continue under the newly appointed Attorney General once he is confirmed. He hasn't been confirmed yet. Now, on Tuesday, prosecutors asked a court of appeals to consider reinstating a third-degree murder charge in the state's trial against Derek Chauvin. Chauvin will face trial separately from the 3 officers who are charged in the case. Okay, so check out this article here from news1.com by Sharice Frazier. DOJ renews investigation into George Floyd's murder months after stalling under Trump administration. Now, I want to go to the article here from the New York Times. So the article from the New York Times, Department revives investigation into death of George Floyd. So it says a new federal grand jury has been impaneled in Minneapolis, and the Justice Department has called new witnesses as part of this investigation of Derek Chauvin. Now, the fresh slate of witnesses subpoenaed to give testimony about former officer Derek Chauvin is an early sign that the federal investigation into the death of George Floyd, which began in 2020 and then languished, is being reinvigorated under the Joe Biden administration. Now, Derek Chauvin, who is white, most people know that, was seen in the harrowing video footage kneeling for more than 9 minutes on George Floyd's neck. Now, the video set off protests across the United States and actually around the world. It is unlikely that the Justice Department, in presenting evidence to a new grand jury, is hoping for a quick indictment of Derek Chauvin before his state trial, which is scheduled to begin March 8th. But if there was an acquittal or a mistrial, attention would immediately shift to the federal investigation. Now, a new grand jury begins to hear more testimony in the case. The investigation has apparently narrowed to focus on Derek Chauvin rather than the 3 other former officers who face aiding and abetting charges. They face aiding and abetting charges, according to one of the people briefed on the matter, who was not authorized to comment publicly and spoke on the condition of anonymity. A spokeswoman for the Justice Department declined to comment on the investigation. All right, so check out this article here from the New York Times also. We'll pull this up here. With new grand jury, Justice Department revives investigation into death of George Floyd. With new grand jury, Justice Department revives investigation into death of George Floyd. All right. Now, I want to go to this other article here. So, civil rights organizations are calling for the passing of the George Floyd Police Injustice Act, the George Floyd Police Injustice Act. And this act has to pass the U.S. Senate. We'll see what happens with Joe Manchin, Senator Joe Manchin of Virginia, how he votes on this. Hopefully, when he's up for re-election, he'll be voted out of office. But there was a, let me pull this one up here. There's also a good article from CNN about this as well. Okay, so civil rights and social justice leaders say Congress must pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to hold law enforcement accountable for deadly and excessive force that far too often involves African Americans. Now, civil rights and social justice leaders convened virtually on Wednesday, February 24th, to demand comprehensive congressional action. and hold police accountable for their lethal and excessive actions that far too often include the lives of African Americans. They united to urge Congress to move swiftly and pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, describing the bill as a literal matter of life or death, a literal matter of life or death amid a national policing crisis. Their demands came just weeks ahead of the start of the George Floyd murder trial, or the killing of George Floyd, the trial of the killing of George Floyd. Hold on just a second, it's jumping around. In Minneapolis, 1 week before the House was expected to vote on the crucial and timely legislation. Now, former California Representative and current Housing and Urban Development Secretary Karen Bass is in June of 2020 unveiled the sweeping legislation aimed at reforming the ways in which police departments enforce the nation's laws. Led by the Congressional Black Caucus, the bill ambitiously aims to end police brutality, hold police accountable, improve transparency in policing, and create meaningful structural change when it comes to how law enforcement does their jobs. Now, if the bill advances through the House and the U.S. Senate and gets signed into law, it would be the very first ever bold, comprehensive law enforcement accountability. It would be the first ever bold, comprehensive law enforcement accountability and transparency legislation. Now, some of the notable portions of the bill include redefining malleable legal terms that impede the successful prosecution of police officers who kill people unjustly, as well as not offering any new federal funding for police departments. Now, perhaps most significantly, the bill aims to hold police accountable by collecting data about officers accused of misconduct and worse behavior. So this is, I think this would be the national database that has been talked about. It would establish a national registry that would attempt to address loopholes that allow police officers who have been fired from one department to be hired by another department. There are other pertinent provisions in the Justice and Policing Act that are covered as well, including mandating the use of body cameras and dashboard cameras. Wednesday's media briefing began with a viewing of the infamous video of Officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck, killing him. Now, Sherilyn Ifill of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and Educational Fund, Sherilyn Ifill, NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund President and Director Counsel, said the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act is focused first and foremost on addressing the regime of impunity that has allowed police officers for decades to kill innocent Black men, women, and children without accountability. If Congress fails to act to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, it will prove Derek Chauvin right. It will reinforce that in encounters with Black people, law enforcement officers are above the law. All right, now, Sherilyn Ifill also compared the plight to get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed to other historic legislation like the Civil Rights Act of '64 and the Voting Rights Act of '65. She said every state has been implicated by this issue because there are not sufficient civil rights protections at the state level. We expect Congress to act. We expect Congress to act. All right. Now, Derek Johnson, and I'm going to, Shakita, I'm going to send you this clip here also. We're going to play a clip here of Sherilyn Ifill at the meeting today, calling for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to be passed. So I'm going to send you this clip. There are two clips of Sherilyn Ifill here in this article. So start with the first one. I just sent it to you. Okay, so now Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, spoke about the abuse of power that law enforcement employs when it comes to accountability for their actions, especially as it relates to African Americans. He said, for African Americans, we have far too many individuals who take their oath of duty for granted because they know they have a special privilege. Derek Johnson said, while alluding to a lack of police accountability. He went on to say, no person sworn to protect and uphold the law should operate above the law. They are able to do that because there is no accountability in place. They are able to do that because there's no accountability in place. Now, Janetta B. Cole, National Council of National Council of Negro Women, National Chair and President, made sure to point out that it is not just Black men who are victimized by police. She said, and she's former president of Spelman College. She said, quote, there's a very long history and her story of violence against Black women, children, men, women, and children by individual white supremacists and state-sanctioned brutality. Okay. So we had a clip queued up. Let's go to this clip. This is Sherilyn Ifill speaking today. Okay, we'll get that queued up. Just press play when it's ready to play. Now, Janetta B. Cole ran down the very real history of police violence against African Americans going back hundreds of years, from slavery and lynchings and enduring through to Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and thriving until the current day. She says state-sanctioned violence against African Americans continues. And let me turn this back on here. Do we have the clip ready? State-sanctioned violence against African Americans continues. Okay. I think you have to cue it up. All right, state-sanctioned violence against African Americans continues as some police, clearly not all, engage in excessive force and actions that lead to the unwarranted death of Black women, Black men, and yes, Black children. It will not cease until there are specific and concrete actions to stop acts of misconduct and racial force in policing. All right, we had a clip queued up when Sherilyn Ifill was talking.
The judge-made doctrine. It is not written in the Constitution, and the test set up by the courts for its application has proven to be entirely unworkable. Its application has been so distorted by courts that it's operated to virtually ensure that police officers are held civilly responsible for even the most monstrous acts of misconduct. Congress must end qualified immunity for law enforcement officers. Ending qualified immunity will not mean that all officers sued under Section 1983 will be liable, nor does it mean that those officers found civilly liable for acts of misconduct will be bankrupted. It just means that those cases can go to trial, where the victims or their families will still have to prove that there was a violation of their civil rights. Opposition to qualified immunity extends across the political and legal spectrum. Civil rights legal organizations, libertarian groups, Senator Lindsey Graham, the Cato Institute, and many conservative judges oppose qualified immunity in its current form. Justices Sotomayor and Justice Clarence Thomas have criticized qualified immunity.
Okay, and then there was another clip from Sherilyn Ifill in that same There's a second clip. We can go to the second clip. It says, when Officer Chauvin looks into the camera and he kills George Floyd, he is looking at us. Let's go to that clip also, Shakita.
If Congress fails to act to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, it will prove Officer Derek Chauvin right. It will reinforce that in encounters with Black people, law enforcement officers are above the law. When Officer Chauvin looks into the camera as he kills George Floyd, he is looking at us. He is daring us to prove him wrong. And we're calling on Congress to prove him wrong and move forward the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So now, Reverend Al Sharpton and National Action Network were involved as well in the conference that took place today. Reverend Al Sharpton said this is not an anti-police bill. It is an anti-bad policing bill. Melanie Campbell, National Coalition of Black Civic Participation and CEO, said challenged Congress. She said it's just time to act. Mark Morial, National Urban League president and CEO, said the call from the people is loud and is clear. This is a moment like the 60s where history will record. Where did you stand? Okay, so check this out. This video of this as well. I know on Roland Martin Unfiltered today, he shared an excerpt of this, an excerpt of the conference that took place today. This video on the internet and YouTube. You can check that out. But check out this article here. Civil rights leaders unite to demand Congress pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. All right. Next, there was also an article from CNN.com as well. House Democrats reintroduce police reform bill named in honor of George Floyd. So check out that one as well from CNN.com. And we're going to pull this one up here. So this is, it's going to be harder to get this passed in the Senate than it is in the House, because there's only 2.5 Black people in the entire U.S. Senate. And I say half because half the time Senator Tim Scott, Black Tea Party Republican in South Carolina, doesn't act like he's Black. He already said he's not voting for reparations. So yeah. So House Democrats on Wednesday reintroduced policing legislation named in honor of George Floyd. The bill, titled the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act 2021, has provisions to overhaul qualified immunity for law enforcement, prohibitions on racial profiling on the part of law enforcement, and a ban on no-knock warrants. Okay, so this is legislation that was reintroduced. So check out this article as well from CNN.com. But these are issues and policies that have to be pushed. They have to be passed in the House and the Senate. You can't do all this by executive order. Okay, you need actual legislation. That's just all there is to it. You need actual legislation. Where do we put that one? Okay, I just lost it. All right. But anyway, check this one out from CNN.com. Here we go. House Democrats on Wednesday reintroduced policing legislation named in honor of George Floyd. Now, it would also ban chokeholds at the federal level and classify chokeholds as a civil rights violation, and would establish a national registry of police misconduct maintained by the Department of Justice. The House of Representatives could vote on this proposal as soon as next week, congressional aides told CNN. Now, the legislation addresses police misconduct and excessive force while creating greater transparency within law enforcement and grants victims more direct avenues for redress. With this legislation, the federal government demonstrates its commitment to fully re-examining law enforcement practices and building better relationships between law enforcement and the communities they are sworn to protect and serve. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler said in a statement. All right, so check out this article also. House Democrats reintroduce police reform bill named in honor of George Floyd. So that's from February 24th, Wednesday, February 24th, 2021 by Paul LeBlanc. All right. Now, this bill being able to be pushed and get this far changes in the movement in the case in the Department of Justice of George Floyd. That's all as a result of the 2020 election and the results of the 2020 election and African Americans mobilizing and voting our interests. All right. Let's continue here. Okay, I want to go to this next story here. So BlackAmericaWeb.com had a story dealing with Texas. Okay. And let me pull this one up here. So we've all heard about the catastrophe in Texas, and we know about Lion Flying Ted Cruz, right, going to Cancun and leaving his constituents behind while he takes his family to Mexico, right? So we all know about that. But there was there's an article from BlackAmericaWeb.com. Houston mayor calls on us to pay for skyrocketing energy bills following winter storm. Houston, Texas Mayor Sylvester Turner is calling on the state of Texas to pay for skyrocketing energy bills following a winter storm. So I saw one report on MSNBC where this one gentleman, he got hit with a $16,000 energy bill. He drained his savings to pay this bill. Okay. This is, what's going on in Texas is crazy. And there's a lot of people who can't pay these energy bills, and they're going to have their energy shut off, electricity shut off. Just a second here. Okay. So with the news of skyrocketing energy bills across Texas, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner thinks the state of Texas should cover the increased costs. Speaking Sunday on Face the Nation, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner called the increased charges unfair and pointed to the foreseeable nature of the current crisis. The state of Texas and not the individual consumers could bear those bills and their exorbitant costs, said Sylvester Turner. He says that residents in his city and elsewhere are already burdened with having to pay for repairs after last week's unprecedented winter storm. Now, Sylvester Turner tweeted on February 20th, 10:21 p.m. He said, "What happened this week is not the fault of consumers. These high electricity bills caused by the PUC and ERCOT should go to the state of Texas. They were forewarned in 2011. Now, reports of energy bills. Now, this is an example of how elections have consequences, and this deals with your state legislature and your governor. Reports of energy bills in the thousands of dollars have made headlines, with one utility provider telling customers to leave them. There were also reports of people waking up to negative bank accounts, prompting others to stop automatic bill payments, because some people have automatic bill payments set up with the energy companies. So they're being hit with these exorbitant bills, much higher than normal, leaving their bank accounts in a negative, leaving them in dire straits oftentimes. Now, Savannah Thigpen told ABC Channel 13, ABC affiliate, that her bill jumped to more than $600 in a matter of days. She previously paid no more than $50 a month. According to Savannah Thigpen, her provider, Griddy, Griddy, sent out an email encouraging customers to find another electricity service provider. Find another electricity service provider. Now, like Savannah Thigpen, others with variable rate plans have seen the largest surges in electricity bills. The largest surges in electricity bills. Ty Williams, another Gritty customer, said his bill increased from $600 to $17,000. Okay, now African Americans are going to be disproportionately negatively impacted by this type of catastrophe, and this was foreseeable. There were warnings about this for years. Providers like Gritty allow customers to pay a wholesale price. Such prices are usually no more than several cents per kilowatt hour. But state regulators permitted energy providers to increase prices up to $9 per kilowatt hour despite the storm. Over the weekend, the Public Utility Commission of Texas, the PUC, Public Utility Commission of Texas, put a temporary ban on utility shutoffs because of non-payment. While the commission ordered utility providers to continue a COVID-19 measure that provides customers with a deferred payment plan, it is unclear how long the current price hikes will last. Okay, now Governor Greg Abbott is reportedly working with the state legislature in Texas to reduce the burden of the high electric bills. President Joe Biden issued a disaster declaration permitting federal emergency funding. Looking forward, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner said that these storms could happen at any time. He said the reality is climate change is real. Climate change is real. Now, millions were without power, and millions were without power, and later without water, as the outages led to issues with water systems statewide. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, who is African American, for those that don't know it, said protecting both water and power must be a priority for leaders across the state. Okay, check out this article from blackamericaweb.com. I mean, when you have something like this taking place, and this was foreseeable also, I mean, this just adds insult to injury. Okay? This is, Matthew said, I like Lion Flying Ted Cruz. Lion Flying Ted Cruz. But this just adds insult to injury with what's taking place here. All right? And once again, this is an example of how elections have consequences. You're dealing with the state legislature there in Houston, Texas. And we know politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Okay, look, hey, we're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. Keep watching. We're going to continue for a few more minutes here, all right? Also, if you'd like to stop for information, you can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, PayPal.me/the AHN Show. And if you do it through Cash App, be sure to type in $, the AHN Show through Cash App. And we'll talk about Dr. W.B. DuBois here in a few minutes. Remember, right now, it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Stay tuned for Wakanda Forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by, everybody. Okay, let's continue here. We'll go for a few more minutes. I'm going to squeeze this in. And it's been a long day. I did an hour-and-a-half panel discussion this evening for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And, yeah, I mean, I'm tired, hell.
Visit 4glossygirls.com. That's the number 4glossygirls.com, and follow them on Instagram at 4glossygirls.
Digital Dandelion's Technical Solutions works with businesses like yours to create an operations manual for your business, which is something many businesses don't have. According to AARP, More than 30% of small business owners are over 50 years old. Many business owners want to retire by selling their businesses or by passing their businesses on to their children. However, according to Forbes Investment Advisors, many retiring owners' attempts to sell their businesses for retirement fail. You cannot sell your business without a business manual. Your children also cannot inherit your business because there is no way to run it. Your business does not have to die when you leave. Their business Bible products will give you the tools you need for a thriving business that can make you money even after you retire. Are you looking at increasing your business's annual revenue? Digital Dandelions can help you make at least $100,000 in annual revenue and expand your business. Speak with them today about solidifying your business. Visit digitaldandelions.com today and get a free 30-minute consultation.
We all know the cannabis industry is headed toward an uprise in the past decade. What happens when there is a brand that brings this uprise in a blow? The cannabis industry welcomes her uprise. Hustle her hemp. Delivering excellence with pride is her watchword, and how you choose to embrace it makes it a priority. From cultivating rich cannabis into exquisite and tastefully finished CBD products to delivery, Hustle Her Hemp leaves no stone unturned. Hustle Her Hemp's mission is to empower women of color by building business and creating legacies, uniting beauty, health, and business. We are a pure definition of how we want the CBD industry to become in the future. While we are redefining innovation, we bring the same energy to improving the quality of life. Hustle Her Hemp is the new uprise.
Black Bees products are a collection of natural, organic, personal care products with an appreciation of nature and bees. Our philosophy is without bees, we have nothing. We are honoring our Nile Valley ancestors who understood the importance of bees. Black Bees created a high-quality, natural, organic personal care line that would be affordable to everyone. We hope you try and enjoy our Black Bees products line and come back and visit us at blackbeesproducts.com.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business, know your numbers, and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business. Encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. BlackBusinessTea.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com.
Is what it is. I only have so much energy. Okay, so I'm tired. Let's see. Let's keep going. But I shared the broadcast on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, of the panel discussion. Okay. All right, a quick update here dealing with Tiger Woods. No charges expected in Tiger Woods' crash. No charges expected in Tiger Woods' crash. Golf legend Tiger Woods is not expected to face charges after he was seriously injured in a rollover crash near Los Angeles on Tuesday, authorities said. This is purely an accident, Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva said today. Tiger Woods was awake, responsive, and recovering in his hospital room after undergoing emergency surgery, his representative said in a statement on Tuesday. Okay. Just a second here. Let's continue with this. All right. Now, Tiger Woods suffered significant orthopedic injuries to his right lower extremity. Anish Mahajan, Chief Medical Officer and Interim CEO at Harvard UCLA Medical Center, said in a statement, a rod was inserted into Tiger Woods' shattered tibia in his right leg, and screws and pins were used to stabilize injuries to his foot and ankle, the statement said. Now, Tiger Woods is lucky to be alive after the single vehicle crash. Villanueva, Los Angeles County Sheriff Villanueva said at a news conference on Tuesday. Tiger Woods was conscious and in stable condition when first responders used an axe on the wreckage and pulled him through the SUV's windshield, authorities said. Deputy Carlos Gonzalez, who arrived first on the scene, told NBC News that Tiger Woods was lucid and calm and did not realize how severe his injuries were at the time. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Tiger Woods showed no signs of impairment when deputies first made contact with him. Villanueva also said the area where Tiger Woods crashed has a, quote, high frequency of accidents, end quote, because it's downhill and has slopes and curves. Tiger Woods was wearing his seatbelt, and that likely saved his life, Gonzalez said. Okay, so there was a article here. Which one was that? This one right here. Tiger Woods didn't realize the severity of his injury. So you can check out this article here from NBC News. Yeah, Tiger Woods didn't realize severity of his injuries after a rollover crash, deputy says. So this is from February 24th, 2021. You can check out this article from NBC News for an update. All right. You can still register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So when you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, click on the home page and scroll down. You'll see information for my radio show. And you can click here to listen to audio podcasts of the show. And we're on live Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Click here to read articles that I've written. Information's here about the class. Our guest speaker on our Tuesday, February 23rd class was Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans Where Africans Document Evidence. I mean, we had a hell of a conversation. He got stuck. There was a bad traffic jam in Roanoke, Virginia. Roanoke, Virginia. That's where he lives. So he came on later into the class, but we had a fantastic discussion. He was dropping information about new archaeological discoveries and discoveries that pushed the presence of Africans in Central America and Mexico, going back at least about 250,000 years ago. So click right here for register here, and it takes you to the next page. Okay, so the class is $80. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course. Click right here to enroll, and then it takes you through the process. As soon as you register, you can start watching the classes. As soon as you register, you can start watching the classes. Okay, so our next class will be next live class will be Tuesday, March 2nd. So it's 8 consecutive Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the classes live. You can ask questions in class through the live chat. All the sessions are recorded, and you can go back and watch them over and over again as well. Okay. Then also we have we also, at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have this is information about the panel discussion I was on for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Those are my sisters. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. We have the Michael Imhotep Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. So these are 15 of my lectures dealing with all different aspects of our history, including 3 dealing with the film Black Panther. And this one here deals with the whole history of African American History Month, breaking the chains while we celebrate African American History Month, exposing the myths. I have Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization, one dealing with the history of Christmas and the pre-Christian holidays, going back to the winter solstice festivals, all different types of things like that. So check that out. That's on sale. That's $100. It's a 15 DVD bundle pack. We also have it in digital download format at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. Lastly, I want to squeeze in this. We'll talk a little bit about this, and we'll discuss this some more tomorrow as well. So February 23rd was the birthday of Dr. W.B. DuBois. Okay. And we know that he was a Pan-Africanist. He was a co-founder of the NAACP. He was the editor of the Crisis magazine. There was a good article from the Zen Education Project, about Dr. W.B. DuBois. So he was born February 23rd, 1868. He was born 3 years after slavery ended. Dr. W.B. DuBois, one of the most important activist scholars of the 20th century, was born on February 23rd, 1868. He was a sociologist, historian, Pan-Africanist, and we're going to pull this up here. All right, just a second here. Okay, so he was a sociologist and a Pan-Africanist, historian, author, and editor, and was one of the co-founders of the NAACP in 1909. He was the leader of the Niagara movement as well. He also organized the Pan-African Conference also. And he was editor of the NAACP's journal, The Crisis. Now, his collection of essays, The Souls of Black Folk, was a seminal work in African-American literature. In his 1935 Black Reconstruction in America, challenged the prevailing ideas about the Reconstruction era of the United States. Now, here's a picture of Dr. W.B. DuBois later in life with Horace Mann Bond and Mary McLeod Bethune. This is from 1956. We know he dies in 1963, the day before the March on Washington. He dies August 27th, 1963. Now, on October 23rd, 1947, the NAACP sent to the United Nations a document titled An Appeal to the World, in which the NAACP asked the United Nations to redress human rights violations the United States committed against its African-American citizens. Dr. W.B. DuBois, who drafted the NAACP petition with other leading lawyers and scholars, intended to focus attention on the U.S.'s systematic denial of human rights to its African-American citizens. They presented in the petition facts about lynching, segregation, and the gross inequalities in education, housing, healthcare, and voting rights, Dr. W.B. DuBois stated. Now, in the petition, it says, at first, the American Negro was driven from the polls in the South by mobs and violence, and then was openly cheated. Finally, by a gentleman's agreement with the North, that Negro was disenfranchised in the South by a series of laws, methods of administration, court decisions, and general public outcry, so that today 3/4 of the Negro population of the nation is deprived of the right to vote by open and declared policy. It is not Russia that threatens the United States so much as Mississippi. Okay. Internal injustice done to one's brothers is far more dangerous than the aggression of strangers abroad. Internal injustice done to one's brothers is far more dangerous than the aggression of strangers from abroad. Okay. So check this out here. February 23rd, 1868, Dr. W.B. Du Bois was born. This is from the Zen Education Project, this date in history. Okay. Let me turn it on. This is from the Zen Education Project, this date in history. All right. Dr. W.B. Du Bois and Mary McLeod Bethune and Mary McLeod Bethune and Horace Mann Bond in 1956. All right. And you can read more about, I think blackpast.org also has information on this as well. An appeal to the world, the petition submitted to the United Nations by the NAACP, October 23rd, 1947. A lot of people don't know about that history. All right. Hey, look, we have to get out of here. If you want to support the African History Network, you can do so $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. If you do it through Cash App, be sure to type in $ the AHN show, because somebody set up a fake African History Network Cash App account. It's not mine. It doesn't go to us. And there it says $ the AHN. With mine, you have to type in $ the AHN show, and it says Michael, and it shows my picture, shows me in a radio station studio. I don't know who did that. I'm trying to figure that out. But also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Be sure to register for our online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Next class is going to be great, and we're going to start getting into the history of the Moors and then into the transatlantic slave trade. It's an 8 week, 16-hour online course. We do it thousands of years of history. Okay. All right. Remember, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.
With blackbusinesstee.com, the messages are clear and meaningful. Keep your business in the black and out of the red. Mind your black business, know your numbers, and plan strategically. Black Business Boss, lead your industry. Support black business, encourage, patronize, and uplift one another. Blackbusinesstee.com currently has products sold in Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, with proceeds returned to the black community. They have a wide selection of hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, hats, sweatshirts that support black-owned businesses. Visit the website blackbusinesstee.com. That's blackbusinesstee.com. Soul Natural Beauty Products offers organic, plant-based skin and hair care products that will rejuvenate skin and naturally grow and thicken hair. Their whipped shea butter can heal or restore damaged skin cells to prevent hyperpigmentation and skin breakouts. All products are made with organic plant-based ingredients. Their maximum hair growth oil is fortified with organic herbal extracts and undeniably proves that Mother Nature knows best. It thickens, lengthens, softens, and conditions all types of hair. They even guarantee hair improvement within 90 days or a full refund. Their all-natural 24-hour deodorant leaves the body smelling fresh without sweating for up to 24 hours. It does not stain fabric, goes on smoothly, and has a refreshing lavender and frankincense aroma. It can be used by men, women, and even children. Place your order today at soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com. That's soulnaturalbeautyproducts.com, and follow them on Facebook at Soul Natural Beauty Products. Intuitive Design Clothing is an online accessory store that sells one-of-a-kind signature statement pieces for men and women. They also specialize in fashion consultations, closet organization, and decorating small spaces. Are you looking for a statement piece for a special affair, or would you like to add some select pieces to your ensemble of accessories? If you're looking for something different, definitely contact Kathy Norman, owner and CEO of Intuitive Design Clothing. Visit their website, intuitivedesignClothing.com. That's intuitivedesignClothing.com, and you can email her at info@intuitivedesignClothing.com. Intuitive Design Clothing is where every entrance is a grand entrance. Yaya Rule is a line of African print-inspired apparel catered to the black community. The pieces include t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, jackets, dresses, skirts, activewear, bags, and other accessories and home decor. This brand offers a revived way for men and women to wear their black pride and honor their African heritage anywhere at any time. This apparel line is for anyone, whether you are working in the corporate world, are an entrepreneur, or an artist. Their selection will allow you to casually let your pride shine or dress it up as wanted. It is for those who have already embraced African fabrics and for those who are just getting introduced to them. Reclaim and experience a part of our culture with rich and colorful African prints. The clothing line and the accessories are available right now starting at $17.99. For more information on the new items and accessories, visit Yaya